My experience living in that apartment was not spectacular, to say the least, and that doesn't even touch on the actual problem of my neighbors, because oh boy, were they interesting. Hey, what's up guys, it's Katrina and welcome to another YouTube video. If you could, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon because it actually really does help me to grow this YouTube channel so I can make better content for you guys. If you guys were curious, I've been really loving tea lately, and no, this is not a sponsorship. I'm just literally letting you know that I love tea, and my favorite tea is Earl Grey, and I like to add just a little splash of almond milk and some honey just to kind of help me with my allergies. Someone told me it helped me with my allergies once, and now I find that it does. I don't know if it's pseudoscience or if it has something to do with the pollen and the bees, but it's nice regardless. Y'all should also go grab some tea or coffee or whatever you like to consume while watching videos, because it's time for another build. If y'all don't know me in real life, y'all consider yourselves lucky. I am embarrassing. I feel like I'm that one friend where people are like, should we invite Katrina, because what out-of-pocket stuff is she going to be doing today? Regardless of all of that, yes, it's time for another build, and actually it's time for another renovation, because to the best of my knowledge there is nothing where you can make your own like actual apartment building. There's like the roommate system now, but there's nothing exactly like what you have in city living. So without further ado, let's get into it. I've been wanting to do an apartment renovation for a while because I really haven't done one. I didn't have one up on the gallery, which that was its own thing, trying to figure out how to put that up on the gallery, but it was definitely fun to do. It was a smaller scale renovation. I don't have to worry about doing all the outside and that kind of stuff, so that's why this video is a little bit of a shorter video, but I think it's kind of nice to switch it up. I tried really hard not to move any of the walls in this build. The only thing I ended up moving with the walls was in the bathroom, just so I could fit a laundry machine combo in the build, because I didn't really think, oh, this sim goes to the laundromat. It seems like the kind of apartment, with the vibes that I went for, it seemed like the kind of apartment that would have a washing machine and a dryer in the actual apartment building. The kind of overall vibe that I got from this build was an apartment that had been kind of curated and furnished by the owner of the apartment building and like an interior designer, and that's why it has the fun pops of colors and stuff, but it's kind of laid out so that people who are just kind of starting out can have a more middle of the line type apartment that's not completely out of someone's price point kind of luxury apartment, but it's not like baseline a studio apartment that's a fixer-upper. It's kind of, you have a little bit more money to work with, but it's not crazy because you're just starting off and you want to live in the big city. That's the kind of vibe I went for. And I added a little clutter here and there that I thought someone who just got out of college and was just starting to make it in the real world would have. Like, there's some juice bottles on the fridge, and I had it in my head that this was someone who had just graduated from art school. That's why I end up adding the easel with the paint and stuff. I thought that would be a good career path for in the city, and I always got like New York City-esque vibes from this city. So when I think of New York City, I think of a lot of things like the models and all those kinds of things, but I also think of the artists, and I really thought this would be an interesting build to make an apartment of a new artist who is trying to make it big in the city. Maybe that's just like my inner artsy fartsy self, because like, remember, I'm a whole music major and all that jazz, and before I was a music major I thought of many things that I would want to be when I grew up, and one of them was actually an artist. I wanted to draw and paint and do that kind of stuff for a living, so I think about them a lot, and I think about all the struggles they go through, and making it big in a city, it's hard. So I thought, why not make an apartment for that? Now obviously I'm still going for a more creative degree and wanting to do creative stuff with my life still. I ended up falling in love with music during my middle and high school years, so that's why I went along that route, and my end goal is to eventually be some sort of teacher. I've been leaning more towards a like elementary school music music teacher. If all of this pans out the way I want it to, it'd be really cool if I could get YouTube to work out the way I wanted to. If I really think about what I truly always wanted, being a YouTuber has always been something that I have looked up to and that I've always aspired to be, but I always thought that I was not that kind of person. And I don't think that that's true. I think that anybody can be that kind of person. You just have to be yourself. And I want to prove to myself, and I want to prove to others, you can do it if you want to. You just have to put in the work, and you have to have the dedication, and you have to want it. And that's really like a simplified version of what I do behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff that people have to do to make this work out. And I'm not saying that it will. I just have hope that it will. And I believe if I continue to try my best, and I continue to better my content, and I continue to strive to do better, then I can eventually get to a place where I could possibly make this work out. And I'm not trying to put all of my eggs in one basket. I'm not like quitting my degree. I'm not giving up on everything else and just going like, okay, I'm gonna YouTube now. I'm not in a position where I could do that. If I find myself in that position somewhere down the line, then I'll have to make that decision when I have to make that decision. But for now, it's just a hobby, and I have really been enjoying it. It's been something to get my mind off of quarantine, and like I said, I really enjoy it. If y'all want to know the person who I follow for all of my like tips and tricks for YouTube and like SEO optimization, I really recommend Catherine Manning. She is awesome. All of her advice is very genuine and from the heart, and I can tell that she works really hard on what she does. She's qualified in working with SEOs. She knows how all of this works on a deeper level than what we could even know. So she teaches people how to read like the YouTube algorithm and how to make your stuff show up in search and all that good stuff to kind of help your channel grow organically. And recently she's been blowing up, guys, because of everything that she laid out in the beginning. And I highly suggest, if you want to start a YouTube channel and you want to make it work out, y'all need to go watch her stuff. I'll link her down below. Honestly, a life changer. Basically, from one small YouTuber to the next, definitely go check out her content if you have not already. She will help take you from the bottom and be the best that you can be. She talks about niching down. She talks about SEO optimization, because YouTube is a search engine, and she talks about keywords and how to use those to your advantage. Literally anything that is YouTube related, she's on it. She's on it, guys. Okay, I'll stop ranting about how much I love her stuff. I just felt the need to share it with you guys in case you're trying to start a YouTube channel. I think she can really help just about anybody take their YouTube channel from nothing and helping you get at least somewhere. And kind of circling back around, this apartment gives off an inspiring vibe, because I just went on a whole rant about my dreams and whatnot and all that good stuff. Okay, maybe it's a bit of a reach, but maybe not, but maybe it's the fact that I'm pretty sure I have ADHD and I can't stay focused on a topic, especially when I have been crammed in a house for weeks. I feel like we're all kind of at that point where we're going crazy in the quarantine, but at least we're all in the same boat. Regardless, what I want you to be wary of about this apartment is the lot trait is that this apartment has gremlins, and that's what the apartment had before I ever touched it. But I decided I did not want to change that because I felt like it kind of went with the whole new apartment, first apartment kind of vibe. If you don't know, gremlins at night will destroy things and break things. So like you'll wake up and your sink will be broken, and the whole description is something along the lines of, it's almost like little creatures are breaking things at night, but that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Something like that. So I feel like your first apartment is always a little wild, and your first apartment is never perfect. So even though gremlins is a little much for what your first apartment might be doing, it does kind of give that vibe of everything is not the newest, it's been used, it kind of breaks down a lot, you have to call your landlord a lot, or you have to call a repairman a lot. It's just one of those things, you know? I know in my first apartment, I actually had a lot of problems with plumbing specifically. The toilet in the unit above me used to leak in our ceiling in our bathroom, and I remember one time I was using the restroom, and I was literally minding my own business, and the guy guy above me flushed, and all of a sudden there was water all over me. Can I tell you how disgusting that is? Oh, apartments. There's a reason I live in a house now. I could not stand living in an apartment. One, Bean hates it. She has really bad anxiety, and so being in an apartment, especially on the first floor of an apartment, every time someone be stepping upstairs, it would cause her to go into a panic, and ever since we moved into the house, her anxiety has reduced dramatically. But another thing with living in a house is even though I still rent, so I still get the benefits of having a landlord and a company that owns the house to be able to get somebody out in a timely manner and take care of problems, and that doesn't financially come back on me, which is nice. But I also get my own space, and I'm not living in like a community area. I am very much a homebody, and I like to have my own space. I do, however, really like the aesthetic of apartments, and I've liked the idea of living in like a bigger city, and it's not something that I wouldn't be opposed to trying again, but the apartment that I lived in just was not the move, dude. And on top of like with the toilet leaking in the bathroom, I remember one time our washing machine, it literally, something happened and there was water everywhere and it was making this awful noise, and it took them a week to fix it, and it really sucks because, you know, I'm in the South and it was hot and I really needed to do laundry, and I went to do laundry and it wouldn't let me do laundry. They just, I don't want to say too much. You know, I don't want to get in trouble for saying too much, but my experience living in that apartment was not spectacular, to say the least. And that doesn't even touch on the actual problem of my neighbors, because oh boy, were they interesting. I would never wish for anyone to be their neighbors. No one that I know. I would never, ever, ever wish that upon anyone. Just to kind of give you guys a small insight on what kind of people these guys were. They had these big yee trucks, and if you don't know what that is, basically it's a giant truck that they lift up and it's way too big and they don't use it for anything except for status, I guess. But like, they didn't know how to drive them, but the worst part was they didn't know how to park them, and they would always park in my spot, and I don't know what they had against me. It was like from day one, if they weren't parking in my spot, they were parking in the handicap spot. They did not care at all. There was no discrimination on who they would discriminate against. They were horrible people, and I could not stand them, and they could not stand me, and part of me to this day thinks it's because I had a Prius. Well guys, it looks like we're coming to the end of the renovation actually. Go ahead and stick around. I have some bloopers for you, and stick around for the pictures of the apartment all put up together. Make sure to go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and the bell icon to help me grow this channel, and I'll see you guys soon. Are they redoing the roof? I don't know what's going on. I will say, what you do need to focus on with this apartment, what you do need to watch out with this apartment, what you do need to watch out for with this apartment, I felt like gremlins at night will go and Bean.